वेलकम टू मेन स्ट्रीम विद हरप्रीत सिंह तूर। आप सब प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब एंड शलोम। Please send me an email on hstour@gmail.com, or you can even call in the studio, and it's very important that we interact. We are going through a very unstable time. We are going to talk about that, but because we are in New York City and I'm doing this show from New York City, the election is going on right now. So for the New York City's mayor, New York City's comptroller, public advocate, and city council seats. So all those are being right now contested. And on top of everything else, we have this heat, record-breaking hot temperature today. First of all, those who I always tell them, please go out and vote. By the time you watch this show and this show ends up, it's going to be 7 p.m. In New York City, the polls close at 9 p.m. If you have not voted, it's important that you should go out and vote, because the primary votes are most important votes ever. Let me do some explanation, even though I go on doing it time and again at different periods, different times. First of all, it's a Democratic primary. Anybody who's registered as a Republican or independent cannot vote. Okay. Number two, in primary, we get only about 20% outcome, the people who come out and vote. And because of the heat, it may be even less than that today. Okay. Now let's do some rough math. I'm going to use round figures to make life easy to understand. On a regular election, which happens in November, which for this one also is going to be in November, let us say 100 people out of 100 come out and vote. And your registration as a Democrat constitutes about 10% of that 100, and all 10% come out and vote. So you are considered as 10% of the total polled votes. Now let's go to the primary scenario. In primary, only about 20% vote. Your 10% out of 100 was 10%. But even if you come out and vote 8% of the registered, so instead of 10%, 8% comes out. So your contribution out of 20% becomes 40%. And who the electorals are going to listen? Your community. That's why primary votes are so important, that we need to do the voting. In doesn't matter what. I know it is hot. I know it is crazy heat. And I also understand that we as a community, we need the services coming to the community. So we should come out and vote, number one. Number two, when we go out to vote, we see all these language assistants sitting there. And also the ballots are printed in kind of different languages, right? But somehow there are only few languages which the ballots are printed on. Why the ballots are not printed in your language, which could be Punjabi, which could be Gujarati, which could be, Keralites, Malayalam, Tamilian, Oriya, only Bengali is printed. Why? Because they are very active and they come out and vote. That gives you another reason that you should be coming out and voting in a primary, so the people like me and the people who I work with, they get the data to show why we need these languages on the ballot also. Okay, so again, it is so important that you should come out and vote today. Having said that, the other thing which, before we go into some of the nitty gritty of the stuff, the President Trump, he left for NATO summit in Europe. We know what happened last week. We know President Trump ordered B-2 bombers to bomb using those specialty bombs to drop at Iranian nuclear sites. Geopolitically, let's do some calculations here. Okay, Israel has always been at loggerhead with the Arabian countries till President Trump, during his last term, was able to get Saudi Arabia and Israel sign some sort of deal with some other Arabian countries, sort of like Abraham deal. Okay, but other countries are at loggerhead. October 7, 2023, Hamas attacked and killed more than 1,200 Jews in Israel. Since then, Israel has been bombarding Gaza. Gaza has been totally decimated. It is basically, there is nothing except those 2 million people. Media says about 50,000 died, but media is always underestimate the number of deaths. It's after the whole thing is over, we'll find out that total death is going to be anywhere between 150 to 200,000 minimum. And on that, on top of that, the starvation, the hunger. What actually troubles me is, any act of war against civilians should not be acceptable by anybody at any cost. Indian government did it also in 1984. But let's leave that out right now, because our issue is not about 1984, it is about what's happening now in Middle East and in the rest of the world. So Israel decimated Hamas, decimated Hezbollah in Lebanon. Syria is gone. Syria is not there anymore under Bashar. So he is in Russia. So Iran had Syria, Palestinian Hamas, and Hezbollah as its one of the arm in that region surrounding Israel. So they are decimated, which means that Iran's proxy fighters are neutralized to some extent. Now Israel went one step at a time. First Hamas, then Hezbollah, then Syria fell. So then Israel started targeting Iran, nuclear sites of Iran. Even though it is believed that Israel does have atomic bombs and does have the capacity and capability of delivering it, and Iran was in the middle of developing its own nuclear weapon as a security. So for Israel to neutralize that, it was important that their scientists, the people who actually are instrumental in creating that bomb and everything, they actually have will have neutralized the Iranian capability to produce a raw bomb. Okay. Now, what is happening here is Israel neutralized Iran's air force and also its defensive systems. And that is where the next step comes in. And that is something which we will talk right after the break. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. So we're talking about where the situation is, how it came to that point. So America never wanted to get involved directly taking side with Israel, even though indirectly, but openly also, it was letting Israel do whatever Israel wanted to do. Number one. Number two, we should not forget that one of the son-in-law of Donald Trump happens to be a Jew. Okay? So he has his interest for the Jewish state, which is Israel. Okay? Palestinians do not have that kind of support in any administration. Now, staying with the Israel-Iran issue. So Iranian air defenses were compromised because of this constant barrage from Israel. Israel then reached out to Trump and convinced him to use those 30,000-pound bunk buster bombs, because Israel does not have the planes and the capacity and logistics to carry that. And those are the bombs, only US has it. And only one person could have used it, and that was Donald Trump. Because during the first term of the Trump, I always said that, and I'm saying it again, repeating here again, that Trump is the only one who does not think strategically, who does not think in long term. He just looks at, very close circle. His mind is, I have no idea, but, we'll see how ultimately the things come out. But somehow Donald Trump got convinced to use those bombs, the bunker buster bombs, on those 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Iran had already moved out their, enriched uranium from the sites. Where that is now, nobody knows, not even IAEA. Even though on the one side, US was saying that we are going to reach a deal with Iran. President Trump declared a couple of days ago that for 2 weeks I will not do anything. It was not even a week before he ordered the bombs to be, sent and drop the bombs. Okay? So out of this whole thing, what happened is there is a substantial damage done to Iranian nuclear program. But it does not mean that it has been totally neutralized. Which means what? Which means Iran still possesses enriched uranium, even though it is up to 60% or so. Iran still has the scientists who are, capable of recreating what was created before. Iran already has all those tools which it will need, instead of starting from scratch and reaching the stage where they were enriching the uranium at 60% and above. Now Iran has the, theoretically, in writing and otherwise from experience, where they can actually create those mechanisms in a very short period. Iran has always claimed that it is only for peaceful purposes. Okay? I'm willing to give a doubt to those people who always thought that Iran is doing it to have its own nuclear bomb. With this attack on Iran, whatever Israel was doing is not an issue. That is understood, that is known. But what America did is, America actually has given Iran a perfect excuse to have its own nuclear weapon. Doesn't matter what happens now, Iran will surely develop its own nuclear weapon. It's a matter of time only now. It's not the question of whether it will do or not. It's a matter of time that when they will do it. Also, at the same time, with all this happenings, Iran has been exposed, with that how deep Mossad has actually reached out within Iran and its political strata, that they have knowledge of every move and everything. So first, Iran is going to look for those, definitely, and how many they catch them and how they neutralize that, I have no idea, but definitely it is going to get harder for Israel to collect the data and the information and all that on happenings in Iran. So after all this, yesterday President Trump declared that he got a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Excuse me. But Iran, knowing that it's on a weaker turf now, accepted it. And Israel claimed that Iran had attacked after the ceasefire agreement. But before that, why Israel would even come to the table, there is another factor, and that is in the first barrage in last year when Iran sent the missiles and rockets into Israel, Israel was able to basically neutralize every one of them. But this year it is different. Every day, even though Iran has not been successful as much as Israel has been to penetrate the airspace and deliver the bombs through rockets and missiles, but Iran has also succeeded. And that is for the first time that it is happening in a long time that the Israel airspace is compromised in the sense that its Iron Dome is cracked. So that is an incentive for Israel to stop it. Of course, artillery and manufacturing of new artillery, doesn't matter how much you get from the other countries, including from US, which is the biggest supplier. Where it will end, we don't know. And as far as Iran is concerned, Iran actually has no other supplier. Iran actually provided, drones to Russia against Ukraine. Another war we need to talk about, but I don't know whether today we'll have the time or not. But so out of this whole scenario, what is happening? Iran agreed because Iran knew that I'm on a weaker turf right now. But it doesn't mean Iran stopped attacking till reaching that ceasefire. Trump announced it, and Trump loves to make those announcements the way Trump actually did with India, Pakistan, even though, India claims that no role was played by Trump, but we don't know. We'll find out after 25 years, 30 years, 50 years, whenever the records are, released. Now, Israel actually did send out some more missiles to attack Iran. And that's where this morning when President Trump was leaving the United States to go to attend the NATO summit, got upset. And he literally used profanity, F word right on the media, saying that they don't know what they are doing. This is where another one of my issue comes in, that I got to give a credit to Trump winning being whatever he is, to win the presidential election second time and also getting more popular votes than any previous candidate, I think, since Ronald Reagan. on that part, because I know George W. Bush got less number of votes than Al Gore. Same thing, Donald Trump last time when he won, he got less votes than Hillary Clinton, but still became the president. But this time he got more votes also. So let us take a break. After the break, we will then continue from here, talk about what's going on right after the break. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor once again. So now the scenario is Trump, those people who live in New York City, they know how he became what he became. His bankruptcies, his deceptiveness, his lies, and everything, what he does. But financially, he has been able to get more and more strong. And there are people who are literally kissing the ring because the power of the US president is still unmatched in the world as of today, no doubt about it. Okay. So he is really upset about Israel not listening to what he said. So how it will play out, I don't know. But there is one thing for sure, that there are now all this whole new developments. There was a time when US was considered to provide an umbrella from nuclear attack to European countries, to some other countries. Those countries have, after Trump's second visit, the first term, they were like, okay, he is here, he's got elected, but he's gone. But this time when he got elected, the rest of the world were like, okay, we cannot depend on United States because we don't know when US will elect another copy of the Trump and his mindset person. So now what they have to do? In today's atmosphere, they have to develop their own atomic capabilities, develop their own atomic systems, develop their own delivery systems, develop their own missiles and rocket systems, so that they can use as a protection, if I may say. Because let's look at for a moment the scenario between India and Pakistan, what happened in those Operation Sindoor. There was so much false information going around that in India it was being claimed, Lahore has been decimated, Karachi has been decimated, the president of Pakistan is hiding, the chief of army staff is hiding, blah, blah, blah. All baloney. Pakistan, yes, they knocked down India's plane, which India still refuses to accept how many got, shot down, which indirectly admitted that yes, some planes were shot down, but how many, they have not admitted that. Okay. There was another news within that fight that Pakistan's facility where they have nuclear weapons has been attacked, and there is a leak of radiation. And that actually created the whole world go crazy, because the Hiroshima, Nagasaki, people have seen the destruction. That destruction was nothing as compared to what atomic bomb can destroy today. Number two, when in Ukraine that event happened, when the atomic plant caught fire, a couple of thousand miles area is totally out of function, and and the radiation was spread into Europe, and they actually had to kill wildlife and others animals because they were so much exposed to the radiation. They were bringing in those radiation to their territorial wildlife. So that happened in 1986, and now we are talking about almost 40 years later, and we don't know how long that will be, because it is a couple of 100 years before the area becomes livable for human beings. So that was a concern. So now just imagine, instead of having 5, 6, 7 nuclear states, we have United States, we have UK, we have France, we have China, we have Russia, we have India, we have Pakistan, and we have North Korea. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 nations with nuclear weapons and capability. Yeah, these 8. I don't think there is any other right now. In a couple of years, maybe another 5 years, maybe 10 years, this number is going to increase, which means that we will be more closer to nuclear, not just the proliferation, but also nuclear bomb being used by one of the dictator, and or somebody who has the mindset like our president, the American president, has it. Because God forbid, had US been losing a war, I have no doubt about it that Trump will not take a moment before he will order to drop those bombs on those countries or that place, wherever, whosoever is attacking America. And one of the reasons why Iran agreed to this ceasefire was that Iran knows that it does not have the capability and the capacity to fight multi-front war, and especially a direct war with the United States, not at this time. Maybe down the road it will create a system where it will be in a position where it can do enough damage to the United States that US will be pushed to take extreme steps and then stop the war. In that extreme step, Iran or any nation in direct conflict with the United States will end up getting decimated, except now China. And that is why China is being considered as the biggest threat, because China, land-wise, it has huge area. It has the delivery systems, it has the bombs and everything. So there will never be a direct conflict between United States and China. So Iran actually is what we're talking about, and that's why Iran agreed to the ceasefire, so that it can replenish whatever they have to replenish their firepower, their rockets, their delivery systems, their planes, you name what. And also there is one more factor which we should not forget. By attacking Iran's nuclear facilities, there was opposition to Iranian regime. Like in Israel, there has been a constant and consistent opposition to the Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, but all the Israelis are behind their flag. Same thing happened in Iran. Every Iranian does not support regime or their policies, but after United States attacked Iran, all the Iranians came around their flag. Those are the moments where, when they talk about, that, oh, we are going to do regime change and this and that, these things don't happen just like that. And even though In the beginning, Trump was saying, I am not interested in it. Then he tweeted, regime change, make Iran great again, MAGA, make America great again. And over there it was MIGA, M-I-G-A, make Iran great again, by replacing the regime. Now he is saying, I am not interested in regime change again. It's, when they called Trump a taco, Trump again chickened out. This is why they use this term. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Tour again. So how this was till the ceasefire. Now the question comes in how the ceasefire happened. The United States Central Command is located in Qatar. Iran, after US dropped bombs in Iran, or Iran like we say it, they actually attacked that base. But before attacking the base, based on the media reports, they gave heads up to Qatar that this is what we are going to do. Because Iran does not want to have its relations with Qatar, going totally getting cut off. So here, the Qatar already was working behind the scenes to get a ceasefire with Iran and Israel, but this is where the moment came up. And at this moment, they played like they say, an old man in the room, or a person, a smart person or a grown-up person in the room, whatever the term you want to use in English. So Qatar actually played that role to bring this ceasefire right now. How long it will stay, we don't know. What kind of effects it will have, we don't know. Thing which right now is that everybody has their fingers crossed and waiting to see what would happen and what could happen. And also at the same time, now I'm going to take you a little bit to our own place, back home, Punjab. Ludhiana by-election, Aam Aadmi Party won basically, all the seats except in Kerala, the Congress-led group actually defeated the sitting party's candidate to gain that seat. Everybody else, whatever the government was, they actually won the seat. There are reports about huge, money distribution, this and that, which happens all the time in India in elections. And believe it or not, it is happening here in the United States also. Our own candidates, South Asian candidates, when they run, they have started using that kind of, shenanigans. In Canada, they have been doing it. Okay, in Canada, they have come up with some new rules and regulations, but it takes time to get affected. But still, this is not something which should be happening. Number one. Number two, a new movie of Diljit Dosanjh, Sardar Ji number 3. There is a call to boycott that because one of the main actress is from Pakistan. This is where I just beg to differ with fanatics. They have their pigeonhole thinking. They just don't think beyond that because they are not capable of thinking beyond that. Number one. Number two, we have these hand tools now, social media, and the social media literally does brainwash us. And those people who are talking about boycotting that film, where are they when, the Diljit Dosanjh's 1995 movie is being, stopped from being released? Why? Because the movie talks about the facts about India and Punjab. Even in Punjab, we Punjabis are so blinded, and a division has been created between Punjabi community. Punjabi community used to be so much together, Hindus, Sikhs and Muslims. First of all, partition created a very big line, division between Muslims and on one side and Sikhs and Hindus on the other side. 1984 created another line. We know the actors, we know the players. Let me not name them, but we know how the central government created the situation where not just Golden Temple, but 38 other historical gurdwaras were attacked by the Indian Army. And people were killed, the childs died because they could not get the milk, that people died because they could not go to the hospital, they could not get to the doctor. Nobody talks about that. But all of a sudden, this actress who created a movie with Diljit Dosanjh, she is a target now. He is a target now. Pakistani cricket team is a target now. And all this, the sports actually is the biggest unifier, and the music is the biggest unifier to reduce the hatred against others. And when we do that, we are actually encouraging that hatred to go beyond where it should actually be. And that should be not acceptable. Should not be acceptable at any cost. But with the social media, we have reached that point where everything like that, those extreme positions are acceptable. Doesn't matter which community you belong to, whether you are a Sikh or a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or any religious fanaticism. I always say, and I'm repeating here again, none of the religion preaches the violence, but the maximum violence has always taken place in the name of religion. And when we read the history repeats itself, history, yes, repeats itself because the population of that time, that period, they do not look back at a history to take the lessons, so that the mistakes made by our elders should not be repeated. But now, because we refuse to accept the facts, this is what happens. There is no hue and cry for the kids who are dying in Gaza right now. There is no hue and cry for Muslims being made second-grade citizens in India. There is no hue and cry for the kids being kidnapped from Ukraine by Russia. Actually, with all these new developments, most of the people, because that war is already more than 3 years old, so most of the people, they even don't pay any attention to that. Before that, Sudanese hunger, starvation, nobody knows that because it is not being talked about. US aid was one of the biggest protector of a lot of these people going without food. Nobody talks about it. The main group in Gaza which US actually depended on distribute the food to the population which is hungry and looking for the food, that organization failed. And guess what? Because they have close relations with the current administration, they got other 30 million contract to do the food supply just to manage it. You know, there was a time when in the United States, when a person will take anything from another person or a country who is elected, it will become a big news. Now, Trump family is openly doing businesses, gaining influence, gaining money, gaining everything which you can think of, including the sitting president right now, including creating his own coin base, cryptocurrency, his own cryptocurrency, and then saying that anybody who will contribute $1 million in cryptocurrency, he will have a private dinner. And all is quiet, except there are few noises here and there by some Democrats. But as far as the Republicans are concerned, none at all. And on Iran attack, there was only one Republican from Kentucky who made statement that this was wrong, it should not have been done, and Trump has already created, you know, a PAC, Political Action Committee, a group which Trump's, you know, people will donate money, and that money will be used to defeat him. This is the world we are living right now. By the time I come for the show next week, I have no idea what we will have. But before I go, I want to again say thanks to a couple of media outlets which I read and which I put the pieces together. New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Foreign Affairs, Foreign Policy, Frontline, Tribune, Indian Express, Hindu, Dawn from Pakistan, BBC, Telegraph, The Guardian. These are the newspapers which I look at, I read, and I try to make some sense out of insensible which is going right now. So let's hope for the best. Till next time, good night and good luck.